Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to Studio C70 at the Committee of 70. We got a big election coming up. Primary day is Tuesday, May 21st. Polls are open 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I got a whole bunch of offices on the ballot: judicial offices, local offices, mayor, city council, city commissioner, register of wills, sheriff, a whole host of offices, more than we can talk about today. But one of the offices is city council, both at large and district. Here at 70, we talk about elections as job interviews. The job applicants are the candidates. The job hiring committee are the voters. We have one of the job applicants with us today, Jamie Gauthier. Welcome.
Thank you.
All
Thanks for
right,
having me.
running in the third council district.
Yes.
All right, so we only have 15 minutes. We're going to dive right in.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit about your background, civic and professional experience and career, and why you're running for city council?
Sure. I'm running for city council because I love my community. I was born in the district, and I would be thrilled to represent it and to work to connect people to opportunity. I think we have to do a much better job of that in the third district. I'm a first-time politician. I've spent my entire career in the nonprofit sector. I'm a city planner, and so I've been working in the community development field for various nonprofits and leading various nonprofits for the past 15 years. I've worked for organizations focused on affordable housing. I've led the Sustainable Business Network, and most recently I was the executive director of the Fairmount Park Conservancy.
I mean, so let's say you win a seat, you're a district council member, you have 4 years. What are the biggest things, or the biggest thing you want to get done in that 4 years?
Yeah, one area that I really want to make traction on, and I think we have to make traction on, is gentrification, stopping gentrification and displacement. I've been going around talking to voters all across the district. Folks are very concerned about their property taxes rising, about all of the high cost development they see, sprouting up in the district, about their rents going up. I think we have to make sure that the third district remains a place that's affordable for everyone. Yeah.
So that's a big issue that's getting a lot of attention right now, as it should. The city is changing. What sort of legislation would you champion around that issue, around how neighborhoods are changing the third or anywhere else in Philly?
Sure. So one, I am a fan of reining in councilmanic prerogative. I think to the extent that we have a higher level of transparency around how land use decisions are made and a higher level of engagement for the community, we will be able to work on equitable development together. I also think that we have to fix the way that property taxes are assessed in the city and make sure that our assessments are uniform and fair. I want to expand resources for homeowners who can't afford their property taxes, for homeowners that need to make critical repairs. And I want to actually come up with some tools to protect our renters. I feel like renters are incredibly vulnerable in this market, and we don't talk about that enough.
So, what you said this is your first run for office,
yes.
right? But you're no stranger to civics or civic sphere and our politics in this town.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you think should work better or differently as far as like how politics works and running our elections in particular?
Yeah, so I think we need a much higher level of transparency with regards to how our city council operates. I think our voters and our residents, they need to be very clear on what goals council is trying to achieve, where they're at in achieving those goals, and they need to be key partners in making decisions with their city council members. So that's an approach, that's the approach that I've taken as a city planner, and that's the approach I want to take as a council member. I also, this experience has taught me that we also need a much better way for challengers and new entrants to the political system to kind of get in there and to run for public office. So those are some things that that come to mind.
Yeah. So you mentioned councilmanic prerogative in particular, and it's kind of striking how much attention that issue is getting. Perhaps it's because the city is changing, it's growing, and there's just more instances where where prerogative comes up and grabs headlines.
Yeah.
So, what are some specific things you think can change it? And for the folks at home, councilmanic prerogative is basically when city council as a whole, because they have to pass an ordinance or resolution to exact a certain land decision, they defer to the local district council member as the one who knows the most about that district to make that vote. So, what specifically might we change around that particular process?
One thing that I would change is our process for public land sales. Right. I think if there's a parcel of public land for sale, the community needs needs to know who's offering proposals. The community should know what the relation is of those potential buyers to the council member, and the community needs to be at the table and selecting what happens. I think too much is happening in the dark, right, and based on politics, when really, you know, development should be based on the best interests of the community. Yeah.
So, you know, 70 put out a platform this spring. We're calling it PR1. It has lists basically a number of you know, possible reforms or changes that we think Philadelphia should be talking about, that I think would make our local democracy more open, accessible, transparent, and it includes you know, curbing prerogative. Basically, I think trying to make it more accountable and transparent. But it also includes things like term limits, putting citizens on the forefront of city council redistricting, some changes around how our elections work. So I guess, you know, my question is, you know, with regards to city council in particular as our local legislative body, but then also city hall more generally, our local government, our local democracy. What do you think are the biggest issues, and what are some of those possible solutions? And just as far as like how our government works, not like issues, you know, between like healthcare, taxes, you know, housing, but how the decisions get made.
Sure. Well, we talked a little bit about prerogative and transparency around land use decisions. Beyond that, I am a believer in term limits. I think we have term limits for our mayor. We should have term limits for council. Philadelphia is one of the only big cities where we have council members serving for upwards of 30 years, in some cases 40 years. I think that's holding us back at the neighborhood level. I think that we have to be always looking for fresh perspectives, for new ideas, and I think we should always be cultivating a pipeline of leadership. There are a lot of talented people in this city, and we should be encouraging them to step up and run for political office. And right now, our system doesn't really support that.
I'm just curious on term limits. What do you think the magic number would be? And in term limits, you know, there's a kind of a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
But what do you think that number might be?
I mean, I
won't pin you in anything.
Okay. I like Dom's bill that's currently, I think currently still on the table, right? That would give allow council members no more than 3 terms. I think 12 years is a good run. It either allows you to do some really ambitious things, or if you don't do ambitious good things in that period, it allows the community to vote in someone else. I could also go for 2 terms, just like we have for mayor. Yeah.
Okay. So here, let's go back to your platform again for a few minutes. So, you know, put in place legislation that deals with the issues around gentrification. You talked about a little bit. What else is part of your platform and agenda that you would try to take on?
Sure. Tackling poverty. When, you know, we have 33% of the 3rd district residents living below the poverty line, that is kind of incredible to me, because the 3rd district is one of the biggest economic engines, not only in the city, but in the state, right? And so I think we have to do a better job at connecting people to work where they can make at least $15 an hour. And that's what I really want to work on as council member. I want to help the local institutions, the medical and educational institutions in the 3rd district, to procure with local and minority businesses in district, and to help our small businesses grow through that procurement activity. And I want to do more to advance our neighborhood business corridors like 52nd Street and Lancaster Avenue and 60th Street, to bring local businesses and jobs back to our community. So that's another bucket of work for me. I want to do more to create resources for public education. I think one way we do that and also help you know, stop displacement is by ending the 10-year tax abatement. I know that's been a hot issue.
Another one, yeah.
And then another way, I think in the 3rd district particularly, that we can create more resources for schools is by creating a better set of community agreements with the local universities. You know, in our district, we had parents literally camping outside of Penn Alexander because they think that's the best school in the district. Every child in our district deserves a type of education that they can get at Penn Alexander. And I think, you know, the large universities owe it to our neighborhoods to help make that so. And then another area for me is sustainability. I want to push Philadelphia forward faster on moving towards 100% renewable energy. And I want to use that as an opportunity to create good paying jobs that can pull people out of poverty.
A couple quick follow-ups. So on the abatement, that's another one that's getting a lot of attention. And you know, it seems like much of the discussion is not on whether or not it should change, but how the abatement should change, just from what candidates and incumbent council members are talking about. So what are your thoughts specifically around the abatement? What you know, how would you legislate around that as a council member?
My thoughts are that we should end it.
End entirely.
Yes, and so that we ensure that we have our property taxes from new development going into our public schools. I've been going across the district. I door knock every day, right? And as I'm talking to residents, they think it's unconscionable to have this program where we're giving big tax cuts to developers when their schools are crumbling and their property taxes are rising and their rents are rising. And so I think we have to create a much more equitable situation.
And then as far as, moving Philadelphia 100% towards sustainable resources as far as energy generation, how will city council work towards that, and then how would you as an individual?
So first, no new fossil fuel projects. We should not be discussing, creating more fossil fuel projects. Additionally, we have a lot of old buildings here that we can retrofit, and that will create jobs for people. We can start incentivizing people to put solar on their homes. Or we can continue rather incentivizing the people to put solar on their homes, and we can outfit our city buildings with solar as well as our school district buildings. Those are some of the ways that I think we can move forward while at the same time creating good union jobs. And I want to be able to work on that.
How much PGW coming into play in that overall plan and change?
Sure, I think we have to work with our utilities like PGW around, retrofitting our systems and creating systems that are based on clean energy. And I want to do that as well with PGW and with PICO too. Yeah.
Okay. So we're coming down to our last couple minutes here. So, polls are opening up in just a week.
Yeah.
Voters, and this is one of those elections where, there aren't so many TV ads. There's a little bit of Facebook promotion, but it's not quite a presidential election. Folks are actually just starting to tune in right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I think a lot of folks. So, what do voters have to know about you as they get ready to vote next week?
I want voters to know that this is the community where I'm running is a community that I'm from. It's a community that I love. I've spent my entire career in public service in the nonprofit sector, and I would be incredibly honored to take everything that I've learned in running and working for nonprofits and in building community to this 3rd District Council seat. And I'm hopeful that I can get their support on May 21st.
Yeah, there we go. There we have it. Jamie Gauthier coming in from Studio C70. She'll be on the ballot along with a host of other city council candidates at large in district. Jamie's running in District 3 out there in West Philly. Get out there to vote next Tuesday. Again, polls are open 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. If you're in line by 8 o'clock, stay there. You're able to use that voting machine. Thank you to Tom Scott and Harrison for funding this project, and we'll see you out there on Election Day. Thanks for coming in, Jamie.
Thanks so much.
Good luck on Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
Of course.